Hey everyone, my name is Jelani Jugo. Thank you for joining us today. Today I'm joined by my friends and my co-workers as well. We're here to talk to you about our project, Youth Leadership Institute project that we've been working on. And we wanted to present to you and bring you in along with what we're doing. So we're going to start off with the introduction. I have Beirut here. Beirut, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you. My name is Beirut Abafogi. I am one of the founders of the Youth Leadership Institute. Thank you for having us here.
Hello everyone, my name is Bonnie Abdurrahman and I'm also one of the founders.
Hello everyone, my name is Abbas. I'm the other founder of Sandy Video Research.
Thank you all for introducing yourself. We want to make sure that we get to know each other a little bit more, and you guys know who we are as well as an audience. So we'll go more into who we are as a person and as a professional. Again, my name is Jelani Jugo, and what I do for work, I'm an educator. I've been an educator for the last 15 years. I currently work as an administrative dean of students at Spring Lake Park Schools, and I'm also a father of three. So yeah, that's a little bit more about myself, and I'll pass it on to Beirut.
Yeah, thank you. My profession ranges from government, nonprofit to entrepreneurship. I currently work for a foundation named the JD Groups Foundation. Before that, I was working in political campaigns and public policy, and also I have a consulting firm called Aspire Impact, which I'm currently helping small businesses with. So that's a little bit about me.
My name is Bonnie, like I said. In my profession, currently I am the licensing supervisor for the Department of Human Services in their Office of Inspector General. Before that, I was the equity director for their healthcare administration division. And the thing that I did that connects me to this specific project is that I spent over 3.5 years working as student achievement advisor in two of the largest school districts in Minnesota, and also an outreach and intervention specialist within those two different school districts. I also have a podcast that I am a part of called Difficult Conversations, and I'm also a mother of three.
Similar to Jelani, I'm also an educator. I'm the assistant director at Bolton Academy. Previously, I worked as the operations manager at the school, and I've been around kids and education, so that's kind of my spot in this whole.
Awesome. Thank you all. What got you guys connected, and what was the inspiration or motivation behind why you guys wanted to start this organization?
Good question. While working in government, I mainly dealt with communities in the state of Minnesota, different communities, East African communities, Asian communities, African American communities, and then I noticed there was a huge absence, or there was a misrepresentation of our community. And as a community engagement specialist at one of my previous jobs, it was really difficult for me to engage our community while working in government. So then I started asking questions, and I started looking into how the Oromo community is, placed in the state, and I found out that there are a lot of Oromo organizations run by Oromos, but none of them were effective enough to bridge the huge gap that exists between the youth and the older generation. So that's when I said, oh, here is something necessary. Here is something that we can do to bridge this gap, and also to kind of bring the youth to the spotlight, get them reintroduced to the community so that they will not lose that cultural connection, and they would continue the legacies, and they would emerge as leaders within their own community. And that's where I said, how can I do this? And we all know that the best way to go about this kind of thing is to go back to your community, get involved, serve, volunteer. So fortunately, I helped some of the nonprofits, with funding, navigating, finances, and also like try to bring our elected officials into our communities. So I was kind of doing that in the background. But then there came an opportunity with the Oromo Soccer Federation of North America, and another nonprofit that I've been helping. They asked me to get involved and then help with working on the bylaw, revising it. They have a bylaw that is 29 years old. So I was one of the people who got invited to that. So all this came through, like I was really excited to help with anything, whether it's with the Oromo Community Center or, with the Youth Soccer Federation. So I think the best way to learn more about the community is, this is one of my messages to the youth again. No matter what it looks like from the outside, there's always an opportunity there to come in and fix something or to come in and learn about your community. And I would highly encourage the youth to kind of like come in and say, hey, where are we needed? What can we help with? Because that's what got me started. And that's how this vision came to me. And so I started looking at, who can I do this with? And I started looking for young Oromos who are in education, educators for people like you. And, everything is about timing, right? So this has been, for me, this has been in the vision for the past 3 years, to be honest. It's not something that I thought about on the spot, right? It's just that, like, I did not have the connection and I did not have the right people with me to share this vision with. Yeah. And fortunately this year, thanks to everyone who is in this room, we are able to make it a reality, and I'm very excited about this. And we are in the right place, and we're still working on some things, but it's a highly promising institute that is going to change the trajectory of young Oromo leaders within the state of Minnesota.
Thank you, Beirut. Same question for you, Wani. What is something that connected you to this organization?
Yeah, for me specifically, I worked in, like I said, in the Okahidapan School District and Moundsview School District for 3 years, and as a student achievement advisor, and with an outreach and intervention specialist. And with those two roles came a lot of contact with students, and I was kind of their safe space in those environments, in those schools. And one thing I understood is that we have a lot of kids with a lot of potential that really didn't know how to, either they didn't have the tools necessary to be able to achieve and, embark on whatever life has to offer for them, or they didn't have a direct role model, a direct mentor that caused the bar that they set for themselves to be pretty low. And I understood that that was not due to the lack of professionals within our community. It was just that there was a disconnect, like Beirut mentioned, that the youth has between those that are elder than them. So when I think this was like I want to say 2021, 2022, that I reached out to Abbas and you, and we basically decided that we want to make sure we give this youth the ability to be able to have the tools to advocate for themselves, have the tools to be able to, have the interview skills, have the, self-advocacy, the confidence, the public speaking skills, the ability to not only advocate for themselves, but be able to push the boundary that is there already, right? How can you penetrate this space confidently and capably? So we kind of kept talking about it. Years came, years went. We started doing a couple of curriculum stuff, and then I got pregnant, and then everything stopped. and then within that time, I got to run into Beirut, who had also the same idea, and she was doing her own thing, and it was like timing. We just synced so perfectly, and we were able to bring those two ideas into fruition in such a manner. So we both saw I guess you could say like a vacancy, a vacuum that needed to be filled. Yes.
That's the same question for you.
Yeah, my connection to this program stems from, I think, two things. One is my own personal experience, going to high school here, going to college here, and mostly growing up in a community that wasn't of mine, right? I grew up in a community that was completely different. I went to school that was majority small, and my experience was very different than a lot of Oromos, or maybe not. But what I saw was that there weren't people that I could reach out to. Like, I kind of felt like I was on my own and didn't really have a community or someone that I could look up to. But luckily, when I got to college, I knew some people that I could go to. But that was luck for me, right? Not everybody has that access to the people that can help guide them.
Yeah.
And luckily, the difference those people made in my life made me feel like this should be there for all our kids, right? There shouldn't be the lucky ones, the ones that have access, the ones that know people, right? Because a lot of our students that are in a similar situation as me don't have that direction. And for me, having those people in my life was very pivotal, because there was a time, my sophomore year, I said, like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, I'm just gonna quit. Like, I'll take a pause. I'll figure life out.
Yeah.
And if we talk to a lot of Oromo youth today that are my age, that moment was the moment that cut it all off. Right? School was over. College is over. They went to other industries that is like low paying starting jobs, and they're stuck there, right? So that moment for me was very transformative, and I wanted everyone in my situation, in my community, to have that access and that opportunity. And the other place, my connection to this was being in education, right? Now I'm overseeing hundreds of Oromo kids and students, and looking at them and not seeing that there's a gap. Well, seeing there's a gap and with no bridge, there isn't that infrastructure, that system. I'm like, where are all these kids gonna go? What if they end up in the position that I was? How many of them will get that opportunity, that someone, that leadership, that access, that tool? What if it's still not there, right? So now it stems out of both fear and hope, right? Because if we can put something in place, a structure, a system, it can be transformative for the whole community. But imagine now, every kid in that school, because we have close to 300 almost students, right? That they all have a pathway. They all have something set in place for them to go through. And imagine they didn't, right? The community that we will see in the future is very different than the one that, I will live in it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Can I say, I just wanted to kind of add, because like Abbas, you reminded me of my own experience. I actually have, I always say this, I have a best friend that I grew up with. We came from Kenya, together and from our refugee camps. And the only thing that separated my trajectory and this person's trajectory was my exposure to people and the education system, and like the people that have already navigated that, and people that have been doing and have, in spaces that was, so it didn't feel foreign to me to be able to go, like, apply for financial aid, apply for college, go pick a major, what to do, figure out, versus the other person who was very hard for them and they finally gave up. And we talk about this all the time. I said, sometimes it's just luck that some people have and some people don't. And I think our job here in this institute is trying to make sure that luck gets spread out to the masses.
Yeah. Can I add? So we do have another fifth member. Her name is Finati Mohammed. She is not with us today. Unfortunately, she is getting ready to go back to college. She is a senior at Brown University, and she was also one of the youngest member on this team. And how she came about to join this institute was she contacted me about an internship, because I have got few Oromo parents who reach out to me asking for internship opportunities for their kids, and I've always if there is a congressional office that is hiring interns, because I used to be one of the intern coordinators at Senator Klobuchar's congressional office, and I did see how youth from other communities got the opportunity to intern in that office, and how that led their career path, that determined their career path. And I thought that was such a powerful thing for any leader for an office to do for the youth. So I just approached a few people, because the few parents who know me are like, hey, I have a kid who is in college, and do you know if there is any internship opportunity? So I do what I can to kind of connect them with those kinds of spots. And Ferideh happened to be one of those people, and she actually asked about, hey, like, I want to do this. If you know anything, and it's like, hey, like, we're working on this institute, and would you like to join us? And she actually proved to be very productive, and she's highly motivated, and we're very happy to have her on this team. And potentially she will need the youth engagement for us within this institution. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Thank you also for sharing. And also, I'm listening to you guys, and my experience is also very similar to, if not the same as what you guys are mentioning, talking about opportunities, access to resources, networking, which we're going to be digging more into as we speak on. Like Abbas mentioned, for me is also like that personal experience, and also being an educator and actually seeing things happening within those environment, right? And for me, it's a little different than Abbas, because I work at public school, so I get to see it from a different lenses than Abbas does, and Abbas sees it from different lenses as well. And I see, like Bonnie mentioned, a lot of kids with potential from our communities, right? And you see how much they can do and all of that, but you also can see a lack of resources, and how that's impacting that child, right? The lack of access to those resources. And all of those things obviously led me to wanting to create this sort of platform to you guys, and partnering up with you in making sure that we provide those spaces. Sense of belonging is a lot of things that I see within the schools, right? They don't have a representation of people that look like them, that have done it before, know how to do it. And this is what this program is about, making sure that we create those systems, like we mentioned, and make sure we create those chains where we can be able to provide those things that were missing for us. Right.
Yeah.
Now we know that what was missing, and we know how to go about it. We can make sure we demonstrate those to kids that are coming up to us. Having said that, I want to transition to what this institution is really about. Right? What is the mission? What is the vision of this institute? So we can let our audience in on this. Do you want to take that?
Yes, absolutely. So this institution is built on a simple mission, but powerful. It's about cultivating leadership, and also honoring culture and the legacy of most who live in the state of Minnesota, and also providing that mentorship, which have very important components underneath it. So us coming together, we all have different backgrounds. I've been in education once, but not in the United States.
Yeah.
And I did have a teaching experience somewhere else in the Middle East. And but that's not mainly what I do here. But I'm positioned in a situation where I can actually pull resources together, because as someone who was not in the community before, I could see like where the disconnect is. So the main purpose was to create that gap, to create that connection, and also empower the youth. Producing a youth that leads with integrity, that leads with passion, and also who stays connected to their culture and their roots. Because we don't want to lose a generation. We want to make sure that our kids also have what we had, which is a community that teach them their culture, their language, their values, and all of that. So the vision of this leadership institute is to create something like that, and there's a pipeline. Because here is where I'm going to talk about the core programs, right? The two tracks. But I'll let you guys explain.
We'll get to that. We'll get deep into what the
Yeah.
program really is about in terms of the structure of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you want to take a go at what the vision and mission, or anything you wanted to add on to what Beirut's mission?
Yeah, I think Beto did an amazing job at being able to summarize what we do. If I'm going to add anything else, I would probably say we are the bridge that we specifically are focusing on is making sure that they have the tools, because one thing that from working in the school systems within the states that you realize is that there's a lot of issues that we've faced as kids that are there and that we've never faced as kids that are present, that are new. And our parents and their parents are navigating this time as if it's still in their time with the tools that they used for their, or their parents used for them. And those tools are a little bit, I guess you could say, up to date. They're not up to date, sorry. So we're trying to make sure that we give these kids the ability to be able to manage their mental stress, their mental health, their ability to be able to communicate properly, their ability to express their emotions the right way and navigate their emotions the right way, so that it's not so overwhelming. Because one thing that we don't talk about in our community is that there's a large mental health crisis that is happening inside the Oromo community, and it's not talked about. It's not addressed. The kids don't have the tools, the parents don't have the tools to be able to navigate these things. And mental health crisis doesn't just happen out of the blue. It's constructed off of so many different building blocks. The inability to communicate, the inability to not have resources, the inability to not access resources, the inability to not be able to have safe spaces, safe adults to be able to have conversations with, right? I think that's what we're trying to do, to make sure that, hey, when right now none of us are mental health professionals, but we can get you the ability, we can get you the resources, we can get you the ability to sort through your feelings, sort through your emotions, figure out how to access these resources that are out there for everybody else. So that's one of the things that we focus on. And also, like I said earlier, the self-advocacy part. The reason most people don't get to where they need to get to is because they don't know they can, or they don't know how to advocate for themselves, how to push the door down. And our job in this institute is that to make sure that they have the confidence, they have the ability, they have the tools to be able to walk into any room and accurately represent themselves.
Anything you would like to add to that?
They did a pretty good job of explaining both, but I don't really have much to add. But what I would say is, just personally, I want to one day look back and see a community that is just rich and full of thriving community. Right? That's the vision.
Yes.
The vision is to not end up, and I don't want to mention specific groups of people.
Yes.
But there are groups of people that have done well as a community.
Yeah.
Right? So my hope and dream is that 10, 20 years down the line,
Yes.
when I'm old and I'm, I don't know, sitting on a bench somewhere, that I can look back
Not able to move.
I can look back and be proud of the community that we've built.
Yeah.
And I think the goal of this institution is to make that a reality.
Yeah. And like you guys have all mentioned what the vision and mission is all about. And if I can add something, what my boss has said already is that we want to make sure that we create spaces for our youth and also for our leaders as well in the community where they're able to access resources easily, right? And not only that, but you mentioned tools, right? How we can give our students tools. We want to build confidence within our youth And confidence comes from being competent, right? And our goal within our institute here is to make sure we show kids and teach them and have them have the skills and ability to be able to do things which will lead to them being confident enough to go on and be about whatever they want to be, right? So that's what I would say to summarize everything you guys have said. We're trying to build confidence, and we're doing that through making sure that they're competent enough
And they have the connections.
and they have the connection. See,
So confidence,
right?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may add one thing to this, because I know this is something that gets talked about a lot in our community.
Yeah.
As a person who is involved in local politics, our community is underrepresented.
Yeah.
We're not represented on any level of government. And also, that's one of the things that we would like to change,
Yes.
because it makes a huge difference
Yeah.
to get that representation. I see from, I walk into a room, and I walk into that room with an identity, right? I'm an Oromo Black Muslim woman, and in some ways I feel represented because of the amazing work other communities are doing. But then, like, there's always that feeling of like not having that sense of belongingness within, some of the rooms that I walk into, and that comes from a place of where, like, hey, like, we're not here, we're not represented, and we don't hold any space here. And due to that, we miss out on a lot of benefits, a lot of, capacity building within our community. We don't lack the skill, we don't lack the, the competency. It's just that, like, we lack that organizational structure. And I know for a fact that there are more than capable Oromo youth working in these spaces within, in politics or any other industry for that matter. And what is lacking is that bridge and, that motivation that would have them, that would motivate, support them. Because in order for you to run for office in politics, the most essential component is having a community that backs you. If you don't have a community, if you don't build that, you're just running on your own, because you need to have that backing. And I feel like that's what some of these youth think about. Like, we don't have the necessary support to do this. This is too big of a thing for us to do. But I would say, like, we're here to change that, and we're here to support, and that's one of the things that we're going to cultivate, and it's one of the things in our curriculum that's included, and because I feel very strongly about this.
Yeah. So you mentioned some keywords that will help us transition into my next question, right? Structure, system, curriculum. I want to let our audience know that our institute has 2 programs to it, right? And I'm going to pass it on to you guys to describe or explain that a little bit more. We have the youth aspect to it that focuses more on the middle schoolers, and they're going to mention more about the age group. And then we have the other aspect of the program that focuses on the leadership group. Do you want to take go at it?
Yeah, we can split. Go ahead. Yeah. So like Jelani mentioned, there are two tracks within this leadership institute.
Maybe you can tell us about more the leadership.
Yeah.
And then she can tell us about
Well,
the
yes,
yeah.
yes. The educators role. Yes. With the leadership, with the core programs are leadership trainings, classes. So these are classes that are going to happen within the span of the 9 months. It's 1 class for each month. And then the other component is youth forum. So creating a platform for the youth to come and get like a hands-on experience in terms of like how to do some of the things that are included in the training materials. And then the third one is again, it is not entirely like mentorship, but mentorship is the biggest element in it. And yes, we have created a module for the leadership classes, and we're in the process of like publishing it on our website.
Yeah.
and then people can go there and see it. But what excites me the most about this track of leadership is we're targeting an age group of people who are already leaders in their respective fields, and we do have a lot of Oromo young people who are doing amazing things, who are leading organizations, who are leading companies, who are leading departments in government. This is to create a platform where we can bring them all in and then kind of like give them the tools to kind of give back to this community or like rebuild this community. Also like advancing their own careers.
Yes.
Right? And creating connections for them, like the networking aspect of it. It creates a networking opportunity with state leaders, city leaders, and also advisors, people who can provide mentorship, because everyone needs mentorship no matter how
Any state.
at any stage of your career or profession. Mentorship is needed, right? So it creates those kind of opportunities for each of this group. And this age group, after they complete their trainings, they are going to take this and what they've learned here, they are going to help the younger youth Oromo. So it's kind of like a pipeline, right? Like it's a chain. Yeah, it's just absolutely. And our the age group that they're about to discuss, they will get like their first-hand exposure and learning experience from this well-trained, who are culturally rooted. That's very important. Who by the end of that training, they would know like what type of a leader that they are, like what is their strength and what can they build and how can they mentor these kids. All of these things are included in this training material, so it's going to provide some sort of holistic approach to a leadership.
Yeah, and that ties into that representation. Those younger kids seeing someone that looks like them in that position, like in that level or higher education, and them seeing them, that person's, they see themselves in them.
Absolutely.
Thank you, David. When would you dive into the youth aspect of it?
Yeah, sure. I'll say some pieces and then I'll leave the rest for Abbas.
Yeah.
So our Youth Leadership Institute specifically focuses on middle schoolers and early high schoolers. We basically are trying to give them the building blocks of leadership skills. And like I mentioned, I think I mentioned it a couple of times, is that you can't aspire to be something you don't see. So one thing that we are able to do in these institutes is that making sure that, one, they have confidence in their own abilities by being able to give them restorative conflict resolution tools, restorative circle opportunities to be able to restore and repair relationships, to be able to have self-advocacy, to be able to have communication skills, to be able to identify their own strengths and weaknesses. Because one thing our community does really well, unfortunately, is that we tend to sometimes judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, and that's not fair, right? And that discourages people. So being able to pinpoint a child's ability, a child's not necessarily ability, but a child's strength, and identify that thing that they're really good at, and help them cultivate that, and identify their weaknesses and help them improve that. I think that's a really important part of this side of the aisle. And what we do is that we make sure that our kids are well prepped to be able to navigate their school, their after school activities, their futures, and then we kind of hand them off to Beirut and Fenati so that they're able to kind of get into the part 2 of leadership, the actual practice of leadership. Now that you know who you are, now that you know how to emotionally navigate, communicate, self-advocate, all of these things, now go ahead and learn how to apply that in the real world and connect that with mentors and that are, doing the work that you want to do someday.
And Abbas, if you could tell us what that age group is, and in terms of what the process look like. Is it summer program? Is it after school program? If you could give us more about that.
Going into more of the details, so I think that this program is effective specifically, or I think the ongoingness of it, right? So in terms of age group, we're looking at middle school, so 6, and then high school as well. And the after school portion is, I think, something that is very important, because kids spend a lot of time in school, and being in school, I know that you can't get to everything, right? The time is limited. You have to hit your basics,
Yeah.
and before you know it, time is over. But there are certain things that are simply not taught in schools.
Yes.
Right? There are certain skills that you need, right? And sometimes we're lucky to have people that give you those skills.
Right.
And for a lot of our community, knowing that, a lot of our parents, first generation came from back home trying to build their own lives, they don't really have the time to build these things.
Yeah.
So the after school is more ongoing mentorship and check-in, something that the parents might not be able to do. One, because they don't understand where their students are coming from, what the environment is like, what they're dealing with.
Yeah.
We work in education, and we also have seen certain things. And sometimes this comes from themselves,
Yeah.
right? We forget how competent and very well thought kids are, right? They're able to talk and process things that they've experienced. They're able to tell each other things, and we want to be there to direct the conversation. We're there to channel it in the proper directions, right? And so the after school aspects is more of direction, guidance,
Yeah.
and gives them some continuity throughout the school year. Then the other aspect is, obviously, you have to have tools. You have to know how to do things. And you don't magically know, right? Some things you have to be taught. So the summer is more of an intensive program where you are getting these tools, where you're learning how to do things. You're learning how to control your emotions, right? Now working in education, one common thing that I see with our young students, and this probably has to do with COVID times, kids have really hard time navigating their emotions and controlling their anger, right? And these things are not impossible to manage. You just have to have the experience, the conversations, right? And things like public speaking skills. Sometimes public speaking is not taught. It might be a class, but usually it's like after school thing, and it's more like not everybody gets it. So we want to give them the chance to build these things that we feel like are essential to life in general. It's not limited to just the time that they're in school. These are essential for life. So we want to build these skills over the summer. Then, like I said, the after school is more of a checking, guidance, continued assistance throughout the school year. So that's what the summer looks like.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys have already touched on this, but I think you guys did, is the pipeline, right? I think this part is what makes us different.
Yeah.
That even other programs, there are programs for youth, there are programs for adults, they're out there. But what they're missing is, you finish the youth,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
It drops off, right?
Yeah.
And from my experience, like I told you, I was at a point, and I was lucky to have people that helped me, right? So we want to bridge gaps. We want that to be continuous, right? When you finish high school, and throughout this, you're learning how to be a leader. You're learning yourself. You have confidence. You're doing stuff, right? So now when you go to high school and you're part of some organization and you're leading the clubs at your school, there's institutions for you. There are people that have done it. There are people that know how to do this. They're right there, right? That peer-to-peer, because sometimes the most effective mentorship to me is one that's not too far from you,
Yeah.
right? It's someone that just been through it.
Yeah.
So, Fenati, who's one of our co-founders, right? She is right there. She just finished college. She was just leading this. She's just doing this. She's right there for you. She can tell you the specifics, the details, the blueprint, right? So I think that's what makes us special, is that there's no drop off.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Sorry.
building that sustainability is a key. It's a key to what we're building right now, because I just wanted to add on what he was saying, not just in terms of, the continuation of the pipelines and, build just relationships, but also in terms of finances, right? We got to be in a position where we are able to build our financial capacity. It's not like we have to build. That's something that is missing. That it's my observation within our community, and navigating finances is. It's not something that gets talked about, because traditionally our communities are really good at supporting each other, right? Like informally. This is an entrepreneurial community, a well-to-do community. It's a majority of them are homeowners, and they do well. But how do we utilize that is also one of the questions that's going to get answered by this institution.
Yeah, I was just going to talk about the pipeline that he mentioned, and it's interesting because, like you mentioned, about the peer-to-peer contact, like you said, but it's kids have an easier time learning things from someone that is close to them, someone that just went through it, right? What happens here is that the kids that are in the adult leadership program or the youth adult leadership program are able to practice what they're learning simultaneously with our side, because they get to be the mentors, even though they are getting mentors that are older, that are professionals, that are successful. They get to be the mentors for the middle schoolers. They get to be the ones that the middle schoolers look at and say, hey, this is the trajectory that I want to take at. So at the same time that you are teaching the college and the leaders that are doing this curriculum, the second part of the curriculum, you are also giving them and bestowing on them the responsibility of being leaders, right, to the youth, which is a really it's like practice what you preach kind of thing, aspect of our institute that I really genuinely love. So thank you about that.
Yeah. Thank you for those detailed description.
He just mentioned a lot of great points, which was the curriculum, the intensity about the summer program and the after school program. We're hoping to have a summer program that's about 3 months, correct? If I'm not mistaken. 3 months?
Yeah.
3 months long, that is intensive, that's able to kind of just get all the content that we have right on the spot. And then in that, 1 hour to 2 hours a week of check-ins, build-ups, and continuity to be able to still reach out to us, still be able to practice what they're learning so that they don't lose it. Because there's the retention rate that happens after summer it drops by, like, I think I heard 60% with kids. So just making sure that we are building and not losing anything. So there is an after-school program that goes on yearly, and then there's a 3-month summer program that's going to be very intensive.
Yeah. And we'll be sharing all of this information on our website and our social medias. So keep out for that. As you guys were mentioning, you were talking a lot about the importance of the program or the institute and why it's really important. I just wanted, if one of you can say why it's important now to our community. Why is this institute important now to our community in current situation?
Sense of urgency. Okay, I like that question. Because like I said, there's a sense of urgency in it. Even though this project was in the making for a few years, at least for the past 2-3 years, there was an idea that, also I think that's one of the reasons why we started building it backwards. We did a lot of work before we didn't create it and then say, like, hey, this is what we're doing, but we did put in a lot of work, a lot of hours, a lot of resources into this, and we built it. And then it's something that's built backwards, and it's a different experience we can talk about in one of our leadership classes anyway, because we learned a lot from it. The sense of urgency, sorry. It is it is not a secret. When you look at the Oromo community now, the state that we're in right now, it worries me. It worries all of us, right? I immigrated to this country. I got my education back home, and I came here and I did go back to school, and I have all these work experiences. While doing so, I did not have any really support. I was disconnected from the community, not because of the lack of absence of Oromo institutions. It's just that there is this lack of outreach, I think, and you kind of feel like you feel lonely. And I'm sure like this feeling exists in so many Oromo professionals, who want to contribute, who want to help building, who want to work on their leadership skills and all of that. And now it has that sense of urgency, because now we're like, I feel like we're losing some of the things that the community was able to build over the years, over the past, I think it's 20, 30 years we've had our community's presence in this state, and it looks like we don't have that center that brings us together, and the youth are not exposed to the culture and identities as they used to, and also the underrepresentation piece of it is what gives it the sense of energy. We gotta do this right now, and we gotta do this well, we gotta do this efficiently, and we gotta pull all our resources, bring people together, create a community advisor, because we don't want to leave our parents, our grandparents out of it, because they do bring in a lot of value into this. You have to know where you came from in order to know where you're going, right? So that's I would say that's why.
Yeah, and just to add on to what you said as well, in terms of like that lack of, I think when you said you didn't feel connected to the community, right? I felt isolated, a little bit lonely, right?
Yeah.
And that comes also, from my opinion, from not seeing youth like yourself mobilizing, and having those spaces where it's a space of growth, right? An institute or a structured space where you can learn and grow as an individual.
Yeah.
And what our boss mentioned, to add on to what he said earlier, this pipeline, this sort of structure and institute that we're creating, it's unique because it provides that. It provides where you are able to connect with people that you can feel relatable, right? There's those younger guys that can relate to each other, and also, but at the same time, those leaders as well have been there and know what it feels like to be those younger guys. So there's that pipeline and chain and connection and relatability that's connected to each other. All right. If anybody wants to add on to that, we can. I also want to have a follow-up question to that. How can community members get involved? Okay, you can add to the last question, plus how can community members get involved?
I think, looking back, I don't know if you guys remember during the Oromo protest. I don't think I had known just how much Oromos we have in the States, and how much of us can be on the same page at once.
Yeah.
But it's unfortunate that can't happen in a more formal and in a way that advances the community itself.
Yes.
So we're there. We have the people.
That the numbers.
We have the numbers. Yeah. We just not organized it in a way that's productive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we need more of.
Yeah.
Right. And I hope somebody else watching goes and builds more things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There isn't a lack of Oromos here. Like, there's so much that so many different organizations can rise and all have the same mission to build the community, right? Because it doesn't hurt us if somebody else goes and builds something great. It only helps us,
Yes.
right? We were thinking independently before we joined, right?
Yeah.
And now we all benefit the same community,
Yes.
right? So your question, I think, is more about why now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question, right?
Why now? I think it's because we're a growing community.
Yeah.
And
And our needs are getting bigger.
yes, and I feel like we're diverging, right? We're a growing community that's growing apart, not together.
Yeah.
And I feel like if we don't get it at a certain point, it's gonna be too late at some point, right? So I think we need to do it now,
Yes.
because it's an opportunity to build in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Because if we start to build together now, it'll be much easier later because we're not too far apart.
I'm going to be the negative Nancy of the group. I want to say this because I love my community, and love comes with criticism. And I think one thing I have noticed from our community specifically is that we tend to be gatekeepers. And in the sense, and I say that because, and one track minded. For example, there are a lot of, we were talking about earlier, we produce epic professionals that are the cream of the crop of within their profession, within the careers. Yet when it comes to reaching back down, we have a hard time after we make it to go back and pull someone up. We have a hard time, and I know this is not necessarily universal, but we also have a problem specifically with the older generation that still considers this like some sort of a purgatory, somewhere in between, right? Like this, they've been here for like 30, 40 years, but they're building back home, right? And the youth here that are raised here, that are growing up here, don't have the same institutions that they need, because the older generation is focused on building back home, investing back home, which we should. But what about the kids here? What about the kids that call this place home? Mm-hmm. Right? And then at the same time, when I say specifically about being one-track minded, what I mean is that when we see someone doing something, we want to go and do the same thing, or we want to stick in that, and that becomes the status quo, regardless of the efficiency of it, the effectiveness of it, or anything. So we are so scared of changing the status quo sometimes. And I think sometimes what we need to do is that we need to disassemble the things that we know, and be humble enough and have the humility to want to learn more and to want to investigate more. Like the things that I love about other communities that are very close to us is that they're very brave. They're brave in knocking on doors. They're brave in being able to ask for resources. They're brave in being able to navigate policies and procedures. They're brave in being able to reach out into other communities and find connections. And I think there's a part of our culture that is like, don't beat your own drum, don't talk about yourself, don't talk about what you're doing, what you're excelling at. And that hurts us, because if you don't, not necessarily in a braggadocious way, but if you don't talk about how you made it, people are not going to be able to not make the same mistakes you did. And that's the thing that I feel like our community needs to be a little bit more strong on. Is yes, structure creation, yes, about system creation, but at the same time also being introspective in the individual level of being able to reach back down, ask for help, ask for resources, see how can I be of use to my community, the community that is here too, not just necessarily over there. And not everything Oromo related has to be politically motivated. We have to be able to stop navigating the Oromo space with the political lens, or through the political lens. I feel like we need help with the education system. We need help with the healthcare system. We need help being able to raise healthy, confident, secure kids. And that's very, very important to be able to do that. And we can't do that if we don't invest in our youth here and make sure that we are looking back down, reaching back down, being able to be of service without judgment and criticism.
That's a great point, which leads us to the question, how can community members get involved? Because you mentioned a lot of great points. We need to be a lot more diverse, broad, more holistic in the way we look at things. So it all starts with a mindset, right?
Yeah.
We have to be able to evaluate ourselves, certain things, and be able to say, hey, what are the needs out there? What do we need to do? How can we be introspective and reflect on our things and be able to expand and grow as a community, right?
Yeah.
So leads up to the question, how can community members get involved with this institute?
Sure. I've heard two things, with our conversations. One is the need of a radical change, and then also empowerment. right? These are two things that are missing, from this community. When I say radical change, we need to reintroduce this radical change in terms of how we frame things, in terms of how we think about our future as a community in the state, in terms of what we can do to make that happen. We do have our ways of doing this as a community, right? The traditional way, which is really good, but could also be limiting, right? Because it doesn't necessarily reach to the place where it has to reach in terms of what the community is contributing. We have an immense potential to build something amazing in this community. We just have to look at this differently right now, because we are in a different country. Our kids are growing up in a different culture, experiencing different things that this is the AI age. Okay, even my generation has to teach the upcoming generation. We have to teach ourselves first, as to the progress that we're seeing, and we need to be able to adapt, right? We have to teach our kids, this is the world that we grew up in. This is the problem that we had to go through. These are the things that we had to navigate in order for us to reach here. And also instilling that value that we come with as a community without not losing our identities, and we have to pass on to the next generation that in a way that does not hinder communication or connection with their own kids, because there is a lot of cultural gaps. And the other thing is empowerment. Our culture of empowerment is something different. There's always a lot of support when somebody starts something, right? But that doesn't last. And if the support and energy, there's a lot of excitement at the starting stage. I've seen this a dozen times, but nobody comes back and asks, there's no accountability. Hey, where did that initiative went? Where did it go? And where are you? What do you need? We don't have that follow-up things. And I would say that's something that we have to work on in terms of how the community could be involved. Our effort includes bringing together other Oromo organizations, nonprofits, who specifically focus on the youth. And we were actually able to do that this summer during the Oswana tournament in Seattle. Our Youth Leadership Institute was present at one of the youth events, and we presented our missions and visions, ideas, and then to kind of see where we can collaborate and where we can create something together. And then we did reach out to a couple of them, and we do have an upcoming sessions that events that we're going to do with them. So it's not Youth Leadership Institute centered, but it's more building that coalition of organizations that exist across the state, even beyond. So one of the things that the community could do is stay as the community advisor with us, advise us, give us feedbacks, encourage us, and then also talk to your kids, encourage your kids to go out and there are a lot of introverted kids who need a little bit push from their own families. We're going to engage the parents too, but we do need their help in terms of communicating this to their kids and encouraging them.
Anything else you wanted to add to that, Lola?
Yeah, one of my favorite sayings is, anything about me without me is not about me. Meaning that if the community doesn't show up to be mentors, you don't have to be a neuroscientist that's also an astronaut to be able to be a mentor. Everyone that walked this world, everyone has an experience. Everyone has some perspective, some knowledge, wisdom that they can bestow upon the youth, right? Anyone. And being able to be available for that. We have a mentorship portal where you can sign up to be mentors, to be able to be volunteers into our own spaces. Because if we are trying to do something for the community without the community, it's not going to work.
we're not by any means necessary saying that we're subject matter experts in the Oromo community about the Oromo community and we are it. We're not. The community has to show up because again, these are our children. These are our future. And we also have to understand that this is not just the future of the Oromo diaspora in Minnesota. This is going to be the future of the Oromia in general. What the Oromia will look like in 20 years. Our goal, inshallah, is to be able to push these leaders to, when they're at their peak, to be able to go back and reach back to Oromia and be able to cultivate that space too, right? So the community has to show up, the community has to volunteer, the community has to be able to, be of service in their mentorship and wisdom and be able to be giving in that sense. And that's not something that's foreign to us at all. We are very giving people, we are very generous people, and that's what I would ask is that please make yourself available. Please also be introspective enough to be able to say, hey, what about my life experience am I willing to share so that someone doesn't go down this path or does be able to go down this path if they choose to.
Abbas, if you want to add something, you can go ahead. Otherwise, we'll move on to the next question.
Just a quick thing. I think everybody did a great job. But for me, my message to the community is it's pretty simple, actually. It is change your frame of thought, right? Think of how we could help. If there's an opportunity, think of how you could contribute, right? And it's unfortunate, but sometimes people think when something is happening, people have an alternative motive, right? Just have a good thought of each other and have kind of the same vision and just open your minds up to his opportunity to grow each other and whatever your capacity is, right? If you're an elder person that has experience, you don't necessarily have to, if you don't have nothing to give, you have your time to give, right? Your stories, your experiences, those things matter. We want to listen, right? I would just say, just change your mindset.
All right, so as we're wrapping up our conversation, I wanted to wrap up with two questions here. First, I wanted to ask, where do you see this institution in the next 5 years? What's the vision for it for the next 5 years?
Yes, so at its core, this institution serves as a space where leadership meets culture and heritage informs innovation, in a place where participants gain the necessary tools and confidence to make impacts on a local and global level. With that said, our institution is designed, it has a 2 years and a 5 year strategic plans, and our 2 year strategic plan is to conduct these trainings and to bring the participants together and kind of start, the work. But within the next 5 years, we're thinking about expanding it to the point where, like Bonnie mentioned it before, where like we have enough leaders who can travel across the state or back to Africa to provide this youth leadership trainings and apply the knowledge that they've gained from this institute. So we're thinking really big, and that's why we're creating a community of advisors. The leaders of this institute, we're not just the only leaders, but we have
Building committees.
we have communities who keep us advised, and also we all have mentors and advisors of our own, from whether it's from our work or I have a mentor, for instance. That's why I'm mentioning this. So yeah, it's something, we have a big vision, and I'm confident that because we understand the problem, I'm confident that we are able to make this happen.
So that's good. And as we're wrapping up, I wanted to end with this question. What is the next steps as the audience is looking to where can I find you? what are the next processes in terms of for the institute? Where you guys are at, and what's the next process?
Yeah, so we are going to have a launch in October for our institute. You will be able to find us on our website. We currently live online. And you're able to either RSVP or sign up, and by filling out our applications that we have there. We have applications that are for mentors, for the youth organization, for the youth leadership, and also for the youth programs for the middle schoolers, and high schoolers. Just you can find us in our social media, that we will leave the handles on the bottom for you guys. On our institute, the next first thing to do is going to be our launch event that we have, and then our programs will start afterwards.
Awesome.
Yeah, if I may add one thing to that, I think after our launch program, we are also working on creating that space, the youth forum. The date is to be determined, but that's also something that will happen within the next 3 months. Okay.
Awesome. I want to take a time to thank you all for a great conversation and for giving this information to the audience. Again, Youth Leadership Institute, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being here, and we want you to contribute and be part of this, and stay tuned for more information.